Right.
Right.
We're good.
Right. Thank you. Well, welcome again to this Town Council meeting. It's our normal full council meeting, and we also have some individuals attending who wish to speak on some matters. So before we start, I've got an announcement to make. Due to the consultant that we have engaged being unavailable for item 13, this item will be deferred until June, probably June the 8th, with the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group to continue to work on all elements of the project. Also, due to the chairman of the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group being unavailable for item 14, that will be deferred until the June full council meeting with the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group to continue to work on all elements of the project as well. So does everybody understand that item 13 and 14 have been deferred because the main people that can speak to that are not at the meeting this evening? Okay. So,
Chair,
yes.
can I just ask that everyone puts themselves on mute because there are a couple of interruptions then, please?
Right. Yes, can everyone who's not speaking put yourself on mute, please?
Or does Naomi or Nathan have the ability to mute people?
They do.
That will be great. Thank you.
Right, okay. So item 2 is apologies. Has anybody got any, not apologies, oh yes, apologies. Have we got any apologies other than the ones that we've got here? Councillor Sarah Coburn-Price and Councillor David Coburn-Price. Any other apologies? No? Right, good. Item 3 is the minutes of the last meeting. Are members content to agree the minutes of the meeting is a true and correct record, or has anybody got any issues with them? No? Can I have a proposer then and a seconder? Mark and Brian as a seconder. Okay, thank you. Item 4 is direct declarations of interest. Is any declaration of interest from members for any item on this agenda? No? Right. So item 5 is public forum, and this is to consider questions, statements or petitions from members of the public who are welcome to this meeting and have a total collectively of 15 minutes to make their representations to the council. So this item is for the public to address the council and present petitions to the council. It is not a discussion forum and is for information only. Please be aware that there are now 9 members of the public who have registered to speak, and as per the council standing order 3F, there is 15 minutes allocated to this item. So I am proposing at this point to waive standing order 3, the period of time designated for public participation at a meeting in accordance with standing order 3E above. So it says that it shall not exceed 15 minutes unless directed by the chairman of the meeting. And I'm going to allow an extra 5 minutes to conclude the meeting, making a
Chairman.
Yes.
Chairman. Are these people going to speak on item 13, 14?
I assume so, and it said they got their right to speak to that, even though we are not taking those items. It's up to them if they want to.
Happy days. All right, thank you.
Can I explain that 2 or 3 people have said, well, we'll wait till the June meeting, Neil, but some people do want to speak now. Okay.
Yeah, it's their right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to allow an extra 5 minutes. So that makes a total of 20 minutes for public forum to allow each speaker to make their point, which will then be held over to the meeting in June without further debate. This does not preclude any speaker from speaking again at the June meeting. So does everybody understand that you can come back and speak at the June meeting? So can I have a proposer to waive standing order 3E? Thank you, Brian.
Chairman.
Can I have a seconder, please?
Chairman.
Yes.
Neil.
Okay. Neil, and I've seen you, Liz, as well. Thank you. So can we have the first speaker? I think that's Miss E. Hartley, Miss Emma Hartley.
Emma's
Emma?
not attended,
All right.
I
right.
believe.
Mr. Colin Unwin's not attended, has he?
No, he's withdrawn his request, so it would be Mr. John Hartley.
Mr. John Hartley, then the floor is yours. But
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'd like to speak on item 13 because I think it's so important that councillors and the council are very aware of how important it is. In the local plan, the Pendle local plan, did anybody notice on green spaces that no green spaces were allocated to Colne at all? The Pendle planning team confirmed that they'd left it to the Colne plan to do that. And we would now face an uphill battle to convince them of the value of any of our choices should the Pendle local plan overtake the neighbourhood plan. Places like the Rough, for me, local to me, the status is a little bit different. It is classification under the old Pendle planning system given to it by the Pendle planners, and it's therefore very vulnerable. But if the Colne neighbourhood plan goes through, we can protect it. We can save it. If the Colne plan is delayed, the neighbourhood plan would still be subject to the Pendle planning decisions with the current housing target of that high figure of 209 dwellings per year. And heaven knows what the new target they propose and housing land supply of only 4.6 will be. Every single development proposal will be recommended for approval as the planning tilt will be in favour of development. This would include the Rough and places like Lenshires and the South Valley Fields, in fact, almost everywhere. However, with the Colne plan finished first, the neighbourhood plan, the sustainable selection of brownfield sites will be developed and no other sites could be imposed on us, as evidenced by the respect and treatment of Trawden in the LPP2 as they have a made plan. Colne needs to take control so it can keep control. We don't want Big Brother Pendle taking the control away from us. That's my major point, and I think I'd like to hope that all councillors will take this on board and get the Colne neighbourhood plan through as quickly as possible.
thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Time's up now. Thank you, Mr. Hartley. The next speaker is Alison Birkinshaw. Thank you, Alison.
So thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. So I'm a trustee of the Lidget and Beyond charity, and over the past 10 years we've campaigned against unsuitable and unsustainable planning applications. And we do understand the planning process, and we've worked with Kirkwells in our fight to save the Rough. They understand planning and they understand neighbourhood plans, and they've done lots of them. We trust them and we offer their expertise to you. Lidget and Beyond led on neighbourhood planning with our East Colne and Villages plan, which developed into the Trawden plan that you've just heard about, and the Colne plan. And an adopted neighbourhood plan gives Trawden total control and ultimate protection and the ability to choose its own sites to meet its targets and to control its own destiny. And as we know, Trawden was left alone in the Pendle Plan Part 2, left alone and empowered. The Colne plan is at a critical stage and needs to progress as is so that it's finalised first before Pendle's plan. If there's a delay and if we have to redo Regulation 14, it would have terrible consequences for the whole of Colne. It would mean that Pendle's plan would be adopted earlier than the neighbourhood plan. Pendle's plan has no green spaces for Colne at all, as you've just heard. We couldn't consider Gib Hill or the Upper Rough as green spaces or anything, as they are allocated and reserved sites currently. We wouldn't be able to have a design code. Pendle thinks they're too onerous and they threaten viability, and that would take away pride in our own town. And our good for Colne policies for brownfield sites, shop frontages, takeaways would be rejected. And as you've just heard, Colne would probably be given the extra housing target from Nelson and Briarfield, and our hands would be tied. So please, this is a really strong plea. Please, can we press on and get the Colne neighbourhood plan finalised? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alison, for keeping to the time. Thank you. The next speaker, I think, is Ash Sutcliffe.
Good evening, councillors. I'll cut short some of what I wanted to say because it's already been said. But I want to make comments in support of the Colne plan. I'm dismayed really that after approximately 4 years work with the town council working on the Colne plan, that the Waterside councillors have only seen fit to try and add in parcels of green space now, at a stage when it jeopardises the whole Colne plan. Alice Mann's been a member of the neighbourhood plan working group for a considerable time. Why weren't these Waterside parcels of land put forward previously? Why is it taken until now? Of course, if implemented, the Colne plan protects those green spaces anyway. They don't need to be listed specifically. So to jeopardise the whole plan now seems foolish. And furthermore, it makes it look purely politically motivated, instead of being for the value of the whole town of Colne, which needs as much protection as any other.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next speaker is John Birchenough.
Thank you. Good evening. And although I thank you for the opportunity of speaking to this meeting, although I realise that items 13 and 14 have been taken from the agenda, I still wish to speak about the neighbourhood plan in general terms and not specifically as items 13 and 14, which were green space allocations, I believe. I think the draft Colne neighbourhood plan is good, as already been said, for the whole of Colne. It's been consulted on twice with the whole of Colne, and it's now in the home straight after over 4 years of work, involving many of you on this call and other people both in and out of the working group. It's now become a race against the Pendle local plan, and we as a Colne area and as a Colne neighbourhood plan, we must stay ahead. If we don't, it will be bad for not only parts of Colne, but bad for the whole of Colne. I've been involved with Lidget and beyond for many years, and although I don't live next door to the Rough nor the Lidget Triangle, I've worked very hard and given my time to protect them both and other green spaces as well. And we are now at a time where the Colne plan is the way forward for all my work and those of hundreds of other people to finally get protection for what remains of the Rough and other green spaces. There was a lot of debate between the parties about including and excluding various sites over the years, but that is and will be meaningless when we all know that Pendle's planners will say yes to any and every development on a greenfield site, citing viability, no matter where that may be. As well as time, fighting applications when you're not in control of your town's destiny costs a lot of money. The appeal for the Rough cost tens of thousands of pounds, and many people took a lot of time and time off work and gave up holidays, etc., to play their part at the appeal in August back in 2016. Working as a team at that time was critical, and it is now critical that all of you work together as a team to finalise the draft Colne plan as quickly as you can do so that Colne, which I'm sure you all want, is in control of its own destiny. If the plan is delayed and even possibly abandoned, then the whole of Colne will be subject to Pendle planning decision forever, and Colne will be given, as already been said, given the housing targets from Nelson and Dryfield, where development does not take place there. This would be much more development in Colne, and our hands will be tied. Please progress the Colne Town neighbourhood plan as speedily as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Have we got Andrew Ashworth here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about local green spaces in the Colne neighbourhood plan. I've been a resident of Waterside for some 48 years, and I've been fighting to protect initially what were fields off Knotts Lane, which are now Persimmon and other houses there. And more recently, I've been fighting to try to save Gibb Hill as well. And during these last 3 years that I've been fighting, I've sadly witnessed one greenfield after another in Colne disappear under houses, and there's been very little anybody locally has been able to do about it. But the Cone neighbourhood plan gives me some reason to be more optimistic, as for the first time, people in Cone and in Cone alone are responsible for shaping the future of the town. For example, by being able to allocate sites for new housing on previously developed land rather than on our green fields. Many sites have been proposed as local green spaces in the Cone neighbourhood plan. Several successfully meet the criteria, but some, such as Gibb Hill and the Lenchers, unfortunately don't. During the public consultation at the end of last year, I made a very strong representation for Gibb Hill to be reconsidered, but unfortunately it simply does not meet the criteria according to the planning experts. I'm told that unfortunately the same is true for the Lenchers, which is a great shame too. However, so long as the neighbourhood plan goes forward and is adopted, I understand that this site and most other green fields in and around Cone will be protected from development because pretty much all the required housing for Cone can be accommodated on the previously developed sites which have been identified in the neighbourhood plan. And these are the same sites that have been ignored by Pendle Council. The Lenchers fields also have the added protection of being outside of the settlement boundary, as in the neighbourhood plan it clearly states that house building will not be supported outside the settlement boundary. So I just have two questions for councillors. I'm not expecting you to answer them now, but just to bear in mind perhaps, to discuss further in the June meeting. So the first question is, how can not having a neighbourhood plan in place give better protection to sites such as the Lenchers and the Rough? Won't we just be at the mercy of the developers and Pendle Council planners? And the second question is a bit of a sarcastic one, I suppose, but we've been sounding off on PPC about Pendle wasting money on an unnecessary nature survey for Gibb Hill. So how much has the work on the Cone neighbourhood plan cost Cone Town Council and Pendle Borough Council's planning department so far? Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ashworth. Have we got Kieran McGladdery, or has he not turned up? Right. The next speaker then is Paul Foxley. Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as some of you will know, I've served on the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group since the very beginning. And the reason I wanted to still speak to you tonight, even though the item 13 is not on the agenda, is I have a concern that as I am now a co-opted member of that working group, it has particularly become evident recently that I don't get to vote on important issues on that group. So I wish to make you aware of my views as a town council in case my views expressed through the working group are to no avail. I think it's unfortunate if something has been missed. And the thing that I refer to, of course, is the green space issue, which the proposal to add in green spaces to the existing plan. But I'm absolutely clear in my mind that all sensible opportunities to rectify any omissions or oversights have long passed. Throwing everything up in the air now will simply play into the hands of developers and won't necessarily, and well, almost certainly won't add any protection to the green spaces, as has already been said. The NPPF tilted balance is very much a thing which rears its head in Pendle, and as a Pendle Borough Councillor, I've experienced all too frequently the application of this, and this will be the case until there is an up-to-date plan in place. So getting the neighbourhood plan up and running as soon as possible is really practically your best opportunity to protect against Colne, against inappropriate development.
Thank you.
Suddenly changing tack, delaying the neighbourhood plan and having to redo Regulation 14 would jeopardise the very thing the plan set out to do, would make Colne Town Council and all on its working group for the neighbourhood plan look pretty silly and frankly incompetent. And if that were to happen, to be blunt about it, I would no longer wish to assist with the process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Your time's up now, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I've got Caroline Palmer now.
Thank you for letting me speak. I got an email saying that it wouldn't be discussed, so I looked at this on the YouTube channel and then realised that people were talking about it. So I'm sorry, that's why I joined late. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that I've been kind of championing for the Lenchers for the last, well, over 20 years, about 25 years. And actually wrote in 2014 saying that I felt it desperately and definitely needed protecting as an open space, a green space for local people to use and for the wildlife. And I mean, although other areas might visually impact us more if they were developed, the Lenchers is what I feel really passionate about because of its amazing wildlife value. And whatever we can do to protect it is important. I mean, people may say that, you know, I'm being a NIMBY, but actually half of Colne would be affected. It's in the backyards of half the people who live in Colne. Their backyard, their views, their approach, their ability to access the countryside would be so badly affected if it was allowed to be developed. Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with the old water bailiff who was, you know, said there are definitely great crested newts there. There are freshwater oysters the size of dinner plates, as he put it. I mean, there's some really valuable wildlife sites, and it's such an amazing patchwork of habitats that I think is really quite unusual and significant. So I just want it to be protected at all costs, and however that is best done.
Thank you, Caroline. Is Adam Lee here as pardon?
He withdrew his request to speak this evening.
Right, thank you. Well, thank you for everyone coming. I just want to just say a little something to Ash, that I was a bit disappointed in him singling out one of our members in your comments on a YouTube channel. But thank you all for coming, and I hope you come back at the June meeting on the 8th of June, when this will all be decided and discussed in fully with our consultant and with the chair of the working group, Sarah Coburn-Price, who couldn't be with us tonight. Okay, thank you very much. We'll carry on with the agenda.
Chairman?
Yes?
Yeah, I do apologise. It seems this topic is a hot topic. In June, when it comes back, we can tell now that it's very passionate, and there will be more speakers, because the 3 or 4 that's withdrawn, and then the amount of time it took for those people to speak. Yeah. So can we look into extending the 15 minutes now? So when we get to in June, we have 25 minutes. I don't know what time. Well, but it seems like the people that want to speak won't be able to speak because of the time limit.
Well, Neil, can I say that I'm suggesting that we have a meeting, and it's just this item 13 and item 14, and we have a special meeting, and we can speak for 2 hours if we want, but I'm going to try and have a meeting in early June with just these items on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Jim.
I think that would be better. It will give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
All the questions could be asked, and that would be a better thing for me, that I think I would be happier with that rather than trying to rush it into a.
Yeah. So on that note, may I invite all the speakers that have spoken so far to come back in June and speak their mind again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So we will move on now to item 6, which is to receive a schedule of payments from March the 31st to be approved. So is there any questions on the paper 6A, members? Any comments, any queries before I sign them? No, can someone propose that then, that can I have a proposal and a seconder?
I'll propose that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Seconded out Howard Thomas. Thank you. I'll sign those. Thank you. Item B is to receive a summary of budget, spend and commitments as of the 31st of March. So is there any discussion? Does anybody want to ask any questions on the budget? No? Are we happy then? Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Howard Thomas has got his hand up. David Clamp, yes, okay. That's proposed and seconded. Now, item 7 is community governance review. Who wants to speak on this? I mean, we should discuss the possible changes to the community governance for Colne Town Council, but I want to know if anyone's got any proposals, please. David Clegg.
Thank you, Chairman. I had quite a lengthy discussion with Philip Mosedale about it earlier today. And I thought initially we had to come up with the final decision, exactly what we wanted, moving on into the future. That is not exactly the case. What they're asking us is, do we want to make any major changes to it or not? And Philip would be quite happy for us to say we prefer to keep it as it is and keep it at 17 councillors in total. And then if there are any changes that need to be made to make it comply with the legislation, then Philip will come back to the town council and discuss it with us, and we can have the discussion then.
Has anybody
So I was going to move, Chairman, that we leave it as it is, because it seems to work and all parts of Colne are represented and it seems to work, and I would move that we leave it at 17.
Thank you. Are we going to give a seconder for that?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you,
Very,
Dorothy.
very happy with that.
Can we vote on that then? All those in favour of keeping the council at 17 members? Thank you. Anyone against? No, that's carried unanimously then. Thank
Chair,
you.
can I just confirm that you would like me to write to Pendle and confirm that and just get you to review it before I send it?
Yes, that'd be grand. Thank you.
No problem.
Item 8, Waterside Mugger. So we had a member who wanted to discuss the lights at the Waterside Mugger, and we asked the town clerk to research the feasibility of being able to power up the Waterside Mugger. Have we got an answer, Naomi?
Chair, what it was asked to come on the agenda for a future agenda, so that the council can instruct me to look into it if they would like. Now, I can just inform council that these lights have been turned off for over 18 months due to a fault on them and how they were powered from the centre down there that's not owned by us. It's over 18 months they've been off, and actually in that 18 months the amount of antisocial behaviour in that area has drastically been reduced. So the question is, would the council like me to investigate the costs of re-energising them, and possibly they may need replacing as they are quite old?
Anybody want to comment on this? I've got Dorothy and Brian.
Can I just ask Naomi? I might be missing something here. The lights are off and antisocial behaviour has reduced.
So we are having less vandalism and damage to the play area and mugger since they have been turned off.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
We still have some antisocial behaviour.
Yeah.
But it has definitely, the nighttime stuff, it's not attracting the groups of youths there.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Naomi.
Ryan?
I still want it looking into, and I would really like the light switching back on if possible. You know, it gives the kids at the evening something to do. And I think overall it might actually reduce the antisocial behaviour.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Well, I've got Alice that wants to speak, and then Neil, if you want to speak after Alice.
Thank you.
Yes, I would really agree with Brian there, Councillor Wagman, and say that we should really look into putting those lights back on. I know quite a number of years ago, I was talking to a large group of youth up at the King George's playground, and they were complaining that they just couldn't play at night because there was no lighting. And I feel that, yeah, there may be some more antisocial behaviour if those lights are put on, but that's because they're being used more, and it's difficult to see that we've got a resource for the youths, and when they're not allowed to use it because they can't see. And it's a shame that we taint all the youngsters with the same brush of perhaps causing antisocial behaviour, when actually quite a lot of them would like to go down and play games in the light. So if we can, I'd like them to be switched on.
Thank you. Neil?
Thank you. Can I just ask Naomi a quick question? When the lights are on, at what time are they switched off? They're not on all night, are they?
So I can answer that. They were on a timer, which faulted, so they couldn't be. It didn't work. They also were supposed to have installed in them solar technology, which meant if it was light, even if the timer said they came on, that they would not do. This stopped working as well. So between the fault on the power line, the timer, and the lights themselves, they had to be de-energized because they weren't safe. Yeah. So what I will have to investigate is the cost for getting a new power source from the highway and the installation of that. Off the top of my head, I can't give you a figure for that. And if the council would like, I can bring it back to a future meeting with the costings, because at the moment, we also don't have a budget provision for that. So it would be something we'd need to review.
Well, two things. May I put that forward to the council? And the other thing is, if there's no lights and there is less vandalism, obviously, you know, people want the lights on, councillors, which I respect. But if we can get them up and running with a timer, if you look at, you'll just take the pubs, the smoking things outside the pubs, they're limited to 9 o'clock. If we can limit these lights to say 9 o'clock, because people obviously have got work in the morning, children in bed, that sort of thing. So it might reduce the vandalism by a certain percentage and keep the councillors and the children happy at the same time. So there's an happy medium. Me, myself, if it's working with no vandalism with the lights off, I'd keep them off. But to keep everybody happy and the children, which is most importantly, we can arrange a time when it shuts off. Nothing anywhere past 9 o'clock, the watershed hour, whatever you want to call it. And that will keep the residents happy, the councillors happy, and the children happy. So that is my proposal, Chair.
I've got 2 other speakers, Neil. I've got Howard Thomas and Jonathan Nixon. So Howard.
Thank you, Chair. It does no harm to find out the prices. It may be we can do it in inverted commas cheaply, but until we find out, we don't know. If we find that the lights can go back on within a reasonable amount of money, and that for some reason antisocial behaviour suddenly rockets and is causing a big problem, we can always turn them off again. I suspect the reason that the antisocial behaviour has fallen is because there aren't as many people there. But certainly finding out how much it is, and then a timer that works so that they will go off at 9 o'clock. I mean, I don't know whether that's the right time, but you know, we've only got to look outside our windows now in April, and it's what, knocking on 7:45, and it's still light. So the amount of time that they would actually need to be used is relatively short. So if he's moved on my screen, I was looking for him. If Councillor Butterworth was moving that, I'll second that we do the investigations.
I've got Jonathan, and then Dot wants to speak as well. So Jonathan.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if the lights have been off for 18 months, why hasn't this been sorted sooner? It might have stopped the antisocial behaviour rocket that we've seen in the last 12 to 18 months. It should have been sorted ages ago. Secondly, who is responsible for paying the bills of the lights when they're on, if they're linked to that community centre at the bottom of Waterside? That's something else we could do with sorting, but I fully support getting the lights back on, because if the antisocial behaviour has gone from there, it's got somewhere else in Cone. So maybe that's why we've seen it rocket. But 18 months ago, it should have been, if the lights were going off then, it should have been raised then, in my view. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you. Dorothy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're missing one word here, and that's safety. I agree with Councillor Wildman and Councillor Mann and anybody else that's wanting the lights back on. They should be back on for the safety of the children that play down there. I mean, we've already had big discussions about the street lights being dimmed and the safety of, in particular, women, you know. So I think the safety of children, and they're all ages that go down there, should be paramount. So let's get them back on as quickly as possible.
Right, thank you. So we've got Neil's proposal, and Howard seconded his proposal that Naomi investigates the cost of these lights and all the issues surrounding it, and comes back to the next meeting to tell us.
Sorry, Chair, it won't be the next one. It will be June at the earliest, because the next one's our May meeting.
Oh, right, okay. So the June meeting, and tell us all the implications and the costs and the what it entails. Okay, are we happy with that? David Clegg, yes?
Yeah, can I just make one comment, Chairman, which is about these lights? And I don't have a real objection to putting them back on. In fact, I'm not particularly bothered either way. If they need to go on, well, they should go on. But just to clarify one or 2 points, and I've looked through the transfer documents today for when the Mugger was transferred to the Town Council from Pendle. And when the Mugger was transferred to Pendle, the lights were not transferred with it. At that time, the lights were run and operated by the youth club, which was down behind the Mugger in that building next to it, which is where the electric supply comes from. And when the people operating the youth club walked away from it and left it because they were lacking funding and couldn't afford to do it anymore. In a sense, we inherited those lights, but they weren't ours and they weren't our responsibility, but we inherited them. And if you look back through the accounts, well, Gina will know where I'm coming from with this. We got some massive bills from Pendle for the electric for those, which were astronomical. Electric for down there were costing more than electric for Town Hall. And that's where we were 18 months since. Now, I don't object to them being put back on. In fact, they probably should be put back on. But what we really need to get down to investigating is if County Council will allow us to tap into their landlord supply, and that's where it needs to go.
Thank you. That's helpful. But we have this on the table from Neil proposing it and Howard seconded it. Can I have a show of hands that we investigate and we want these lights put on if we can? Is anybody against? Right. No, nobody against then. So can you do that, please, Naomi, and bring it back to the June meeting, please, with all the costings? And can you ask Lancashire County Council as
Certainly, Chair.
About tapping into their grid, as it were? Yeah.
50,000 volts.
Yeah. The next.
Sorry, I thought it was mute.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
50,000 volts through me, you see. Right. Now, red phone boxes on Albert Road. Is this was this Dot that put
that's me, yeah. I have to do some proper investigating with this before, but what I'm asking is for this council to allow me to go forward and investigate whether these two phone boxes, which are listed structures outside the old post office, whether they are up for adoption. Now, the last time I looked at this issue and brought it to the council, 2,500 BT phone boxes have been adopted by parish councils. That figure's now gone up to 5,000. So I suspect that they're going to run out of phone boxes in a bit. The phone boxes are, if you're going to adopt them, are £1 each, including VAT, may I add. But we need to know, but I have to go through the process of filling the form in and one thing or another to find out whether they are up for adoption. So all I want now at the moment, for the time being, is for the council to agree that I process this and then bring it back to another meeting to say, right, they're either not up for adoption, so forget it, or they are. Let's adopt them. Let's not leave them parentless on that street. I think it's really important that we really look at this, because they're so iconic, those boxes, but they are in operation, they are working, so it might be that people still use them. I'm not sure. I know a lot of people did in the 70s and 80s when people used to queue after 6 o'clock because it was cheaper, with the pile of 2p's to ring their mother in Accrington, as I used to do. So that's all I'm asking for now. If I can just go ahead with this and make further inquiries, find out whether they're up for adoption or not, and I'll bring it back to the next meeting. Thank you.
Neil, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I do lots of travelling over the last 2 years in different cities and things, and one good option for him was, in fact, I think there's one in Blackpool where there's a defibrillator in one of the phone boxes, and I
Yeah.
thought that was an exceptional idea.
Yeah.
But there will be a cost of maintenance and a cost of, you know, running these things. So can we also just have a little look into that as well?
Well, there will actually be a cost. If there's an electricity supply, then that comes to us. But as far as maintaining the boxes, I mean, now we've got a lens person. My thinking was maybe that lens person could keep it clean or whatever, you know. They can be painted, but obviously they've got to use the right colour of paint, the pillar box red. The BT were supplying that, but they're not now. They're not doing that now. So there's a little bit of cost, but nothing major. When you say, Neil, about the defib, I mean, there's lots of other, my initial thought was to have plants in there, flowers, you know, people use them as mini art galleries, or library, book exchange, you know, there's many uses that you just wouldn't even think about.
Yeah, I wouldn't like the book exchange. I would use, of course, Matt, just think it's the 5th of November. So I wouldn't do the book exchange thing, but defibrillator one and flowers, I'm fine with that. And it'll look nice. And it's a bit of heritage, which is all good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we pull that through, can I ask, I know Naomi's been researching this, and because she had a look at it before when it came up. Naomi, what do you have some?
Yes, Chair. This is actually the third time these have come to the council for review. It came in 2016, 2018, when actually it was looked at as another asset the council would take on, which would be a cost without a revenue. There was the issue of the power supply. Last thing we got told was the power supply had been cut off. Now, if that's different now, I will investigate. The paperwork, unfortunately, Dot, you wouldn't be able to complete on behalf of the council. It has to come from one of the officers. So if council would like to progress and us to come back to a future meeting with more details, then we'll add it onto the list, and that's not a problem. I would just make the point, the Lensman started this week, and on top of the regular things he needs to do each week, like playground inspections, we have given him 54 work order sheets. So that's 54 separate items, and that's before we even start watering the floral display. So it might be worth giving him a couple of months at least to settle in and see how big a dent he could make. He isn't full-time. That may be something the council choose to consider at a future date. But I think it's something that if the council want it to come back, because in 2018, they decided against it due to the amount of vandalism and damage that they had been receiving. If the council would like us to investigate further, just let us know and we will.
Well, I certainly would. And I don't want this to come back again in another couple of years. The Lensman suggestion was only a suggestion. I don't know. There is a, I mean, you know, you can do advertising in these boxes. You know, you could make a little bit with a bit of advertising.
You're not able to, because they are listed in conservation, so I cannot physically change the exterior or the imagery of them.
Right, well, you look into it, Naomi, and if you bring it back to the next meeting, that would be brilliant.
Can I ask Dot if you want to liaise with Naomi and give her what information you've got and any issues that you think should be considered? Can you let her know, Dot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Please
could I have I'm guessing, Dot, you're proposing that.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alice.
Right, can we vote that we ask Naomi to, how would you want to speak, or are you voting? Are you voting? Okay. Can we vote whether we want Naomi and the council to look at about these what we can do with it? All those in favour? Anybody against? No. Okay, then can you sort that out, Naomi, and bring it back to a future meeting?
Chairman,
Yes.
Chairman,
What?
whilst Naomi's doing that, can she also attempt to try and find out whose land they are on?
It's not, it's, I'll tell you whose land it isn't on, and that's the post office building, because Lee had looked at the deeds for me, and it's not on his land. So,
I suspect they're on Lancashire County Council's land, as in the highway, but we need to know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they are, David, because we did investigate this prior. So
Have you got that proposer and the seconder, Dot and Alice, was it?
yes,
Yeah.
Chairman.
Good. Item 10 is replacement of benches. It's about the stolen benches throughout Colne, which they're stealing the ones with all the nice metal ornamental
serpents.
Yeah, serpents, that's the word. So we were thinking of agreeing to replace them with recycled plastic ones, which will have had a picture sent with your papers. So if we have these, it'll be a long-term reduction in the maintenance cost of the benches for a few years. So you can't set them on fire. You can't do anything with them. So hopefully they'll stay where they are. You've got a mock-up sample in your pack. Are you happy with the look of these benches?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chair. These were the best ones I could find that didn't necessarily look as though they were cheap plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick question, Naomi. There's a local company in Code that make them as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's the one you went to.
I think it's moved to Burnley, according
Does it move to Burnley? Yeah, but I'd definitely be in favour of putting in recycled furniture
Yeah.
because it demonstrates our green credentials as well, and nobody will nick them.
No.
And I don't have rotten wood or rusted metal.
No, definitely.
And if we can buy them locally, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I will investigate, Chair, if I can find them cheaper locally at the same sort of design, and if so, we will get them there. If not, I'll go to the other supplier. Is that all right with council?
Can I just
Could I say something?
Can I just ask through you, Chairman? I've been waving for about 5 minutes. Can I just ask Naomi through you? Is this firm over Hebden Bridgeway, the one that's supplied the sample?
Yes, Chair. It's also one that another local. It was actually recommended to me, this one, by another local town council who've just replaced all theirs with these.
Yeah. No, I think having them made out of this is they don't look as pretty. They haven't got the nice serpent ends, but equally, no one's going to nick them for their beauty. And as long as they're comfortable to sit on, that's fine.
Is there someone else wanted to speak about this?
Yes, please, Chair.
Okay, Alice.
If you go to the Millennium Green, we've got 3 of these type of benches, which were made and installed by a company called Cadell, and they used to be at Daisy Street in Waterside, a family firm, and they got too big. Their production line needed to be extended, and I think they've gone to Burnley. But I do have the details through the Millennium Green if Naomi wants to use those for getting quotes.
Yes,
but it
please, Alice.
would be great to have something that's local.
Yeah. Jonathan?
Thanks, Chair. Whilst I agree with the idea of this recycled plastic, are they actually going to look like that? Those pictures?
So, Chair, if any councillors wanted to see some in situ, can I recommend heading towards Nelson, and I know there's definitely one on Railway Street. If anyone would like to investigate what they are in, I have looked at them and they look very like this picture.
Okay. Is there any chance of getting any sort of plaques on them to identify that they belong to the town council? You know, something to do with civic pride. You know, we've lost some of the fantastic ones with serpents on them, metal, high quality, ornate pieces of furniture that have been nicked by serpents. I didn't know whether Dorothy meant the serpents were the people who nicked them or the serpents were on the benches. But it'd be nice if we can get something to identify these as town council owned, just for a bit of a display of civic pride. Thank you, Chairman.
Naomi?
Just to let you know, all council benches should have a little plastic plaque almost on them that says they are property of Colne Town Council and who to contact if they need cleaning or repairing or anything as well. So all our benches end up with these little recognisable plaques on to say they're the town councils, and if we've missed one, because we have, I think it's something like 153 benches we oversee now, that we can identify them as ours.
Gina?
Yes, I was just going to say that I've spoken to quite a few people on the phone who've been inquiring about the benches that have been stolen and if we're going to replace them. And almost all of them have said, well, we're not bothered what it's made of as long as we can sit on it.
Thank you. So are we happy with...
Can I, Chair, I've got my hand up. I was just going to mention about the planters on the railway station. If anybody is ever down there, have a look at them, because they're made of recyclable tyres, and they were donated to Colne in Bloom by Network Rail about 10 years ago. And although nobody's going to pinch them because they each weigh a ton, but they are really, really good quality.
Thank you, Dot. So can I have a proposer and a seconder for this, that we do buy some recycled plastic benches? Emma?
Thank you, Mark. Mark had his hand up.
Mark had his hand up, right. Well, Mark and Emma will proposer and seconder. Are we all in favour of that, please? Yeah? Yeah, thank you. Item 11 is picnic benches. To consider the request for picnic benches to be installed outside the play area in Alkin Courts Park. Well, it's sort of just in the play area, isn't it? It's some mums who said, you know, while our children are playing, we'd like to be able to sit and eat our lunch and grandma where to sit and everything like that.
Sorry, Chair. It is outside the play boundaries so that people who bring their dogs as well have somewhere to sit while the kids are playing, because you're not allowed to take the dogs into the playgrounds themselves.
Anybody want to speak on this? David Clamp. You're on mute, David.
It's all right, Nathan will get him.
Go on, Nathan.
I hope anyway.
Can I just ask a quick question, please?
I'm there.
Oh, you're there, David. Okay.
Yeah. It is my understanding is it's outside of the play area, and the best place to put them, if you go to the front of the play area off the road, to the right on the bottom side where the fencing is, on the other side of that, you could put some picnic tables, and they would be able to get there with the dog, and they would be able to see the children playing. The only place you cannot put them is actually on the bankings at the side of the road, because that's where we use the tractor that use the flailer to cut the edges. So it has to be on the bottom side. The only difficulty is in this year's budget, at this moment, there is no extra money for anything like this, but I think we should agree to the fact that we put them there because it's a genuine request.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, just a quick question. Would these be within the scope of the CCTV system?
No.
Not at Alkin
No,
Cove
okay.
Park, no.
Anybody else got anything to say? No? Are we in favour of picnic benches? Near the, so they can, yeah? All those in favor, well, we'll have to have, can somebody propose it first, please?
I believe Mark is. He's waving at me.
Right. Right, Mark's proposed it. Who can second that?
Kevin?
Glenda or Kevin? Okay. All those in favour? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Item 12 is social media and communication policy. This has been to the Finance and Employment and Services Committee. So this is their recommendations. They've agreed to adopt this policy. Does anybody have any comments or concerns about this? No? Let's have a look. No? Right, can I have a proposer and seconder then, please?
I'll move we adopt the,
Policy.
formally adopt the policy.
And Jonathan, would you second that? Yeah, right, thank you. We're not taking item 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Yes, Jonathan.
Sorry, just a quick one on item 13.
Yeah.
Gina or Nathan, you don't need to print me the documents again. I've already got them. There's about 5,000 pages, so don't waste the paper and ink, please, for the June meeting.
Right, item 15, Colne Youth Action Group. They've asked if they could run a clubber size class in Alkin Courts Park on the Saturday morning, but I'm sure Sarah rang me up about something else, and I'm sure she said that they'd abandoned that idea and they were looking to go up Holt House or somewhere else. I don't know whether anybody's got any update on that.
Yeah, they are. They're going to Hull House.
Right, when's that? Saturday? Whenever, I don't know.
Well, whenever it is, probably the same day, just a different place to what's specified in the paper.
So do we have to vote on that if it's not going in Alkin Courts?
Well, I think you can count the matter as just withdrawn, really.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Item 16 is planning. We've got 8. So item 1 is 21/0209/FUL. Cardtronics UK Limited, trading as Cash Zone. Is this a shop on Ruskin Avenue?
Yeah, it's one of the
Yeah, it's the
chair, isn't it? The one on the corner of
It's a spa shop.
Rainford. Yeah.
Anybody any issues with this?
No, in fact, it's provided there's a litter bin nearby it's a good thing because the number of such things have decreased lately with Barclays shutting, HSB shutting, and Yorkshire shutting. And
So is there any comment? Do we just say no comment, or do we say we support this, members? What do you think?
We welcome it.
Yeah, we welcome it. Yeah.
Welcome it. But would
Cash-
like a bin. But would
Cash
like a
is
bin
not dead. Yeah.
and possibly a sign saying please don't chuck you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says retention. So does this cash machine already exist?
Well, I've never seen it.
That's item 2 on planning, Jonathan. It's the first one, which is just, oh, no, you're right. It does say it. I apologise.
Yeah, retention of an automated teller machine. Does it? What I'm fully support it as long as it doesn't charge to withdraw.
I don't know.
Because that is one thing that really pulls my head in.
I know. It's not a planning issue though, is it, Jonathan?
No, well, we can put it in the comments though, can't we?
We can. What does everyone want to do? Do we want to say something about that or what?
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, well, can I just give you an example? Where I used to live on Notts Drive, there were cash points at the bottom of the hill, and it was fantastic. You could just withdraw cash there without having to go up Colne for it. And then they started charging 99p, and basically I stopped using it. So it's a complete waste of time. And that's just me being principled, but it's just my view on it, really. I stopped going into that shop as well, so they lost takings on the basis of that. So it's their own loss.
Yeah.
I would support no comment, Chair, as long as it's free to withdraw your cash. Thank you.
Brian.
Yeah, can I just point out to Councillor Nixon that he could have gone up Notts Lane and gone to the Asian shop and gone to the ATM there and not paid a fee.
Well,
it never had any money in it.
Inside shop.
It was always empty.
That's because Brian got there first.
Because it was free, Jonathan.
Right, what are we saying about it? Are we having no comment, or are we going to put something about?
Sorry, Chair. I'd got, because it is a planning application, that you welcome it, but request a bin is put in as well.
And maybe on the signing it says, don't throw your
An appropriate signing.
receipts all over the floor. Yeah.
Okay, is that the same for the second one as well?
Well, it's all the same
Yeah.
thing, isn't it?
Item 3 is 21/0241/0 or OTD. Perfect. Colne Commercial Centre, Exchange Street, Colne. Exchange of use from offices to 11 flats.
34, 35, 36.
That's a bit busy, isn't it? That.
39, 40.
Are we happy with this? No comment?
Well, it's a bit hard to comment on that because you can't see it.
It's good that it's good that it is turn it into accommodation though.
I think we've had this before, haven't we?
Yes.
And David's got a better memory than me. Was our only issue the parking, David Clegg?
Yes.
What? Yeah.
Yes, parking was an issue, but what I can't get my head round, because when I tried to do it, Pendle site were down, it was one evening, and I couldn't get the old application, and I was trying to get my head round what is different between this and what we looked at before.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
Is it no comment then?
Well, certainly the applicant is a different applicant, so maybe that's what it is.
What do we want to say? No comment?
No comment.
Yeah. Well, or maybe just make the point that there is a worry of it may, mind you, there's double yellow lines down Exchange Street, aren't there?
Yeah.
Not all the way.
Maybe we just make the comment that we're worried it may cause parking difficulties in the immediate area.
Well, if we're making that kind of comment, then we need to sort that out, don't we? When it comes to area committee.
Sorry, Chair. So would no comment, but some concern about parking?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one other comment on it, Chairman. Is anyone from Waterside going to call it in to make sure it does go to area committee?
Yes, I'll call it in.
Okay. Thank you, Alice. Item 4, 21/0254/TCA. It's Mrs. Sharon Heavy, maybe, 36 Bent Lane, Colne. It's no comment really, but just to be noted by members, because it's just some tree pruning. Are we okay with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is 21/0548/LHE, Mrs. Angela Summer, 4 Briarcliff Avenue, Colne. Says permitted development notification, proposed larger home extension, erection of single-story dual pitched roof extension, 5 meters length, 2.5 height to eaves, and 3.6 meters overall height. What do we think about this?
I'd say no comment, Chair.
If it's permitted development, there's little we can say. I mean, it looks to be in the same sort of materials, so.
Yeah, no comment then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 6 is 21/0231/HHO, Miss J. Gissing, Whiteside Farm, Castle Road, Colne. Extension of a balcony over existing flat roof to the rear with spiral staircase and an insertion of a window to the rear.
Mary, I actually usually walk past this farm nearly every day, and it's on the rear side, as you've just said, and you can only really see it from Cockhill Lane anyway. So I would suggest a no comment unless there's something wrong with the materials. If any of the other councillors have read through all the documents.
Well, all I can see, Chair, through you, is that it says white PVC windows. Now, I don't know what the existing are. If Mark walks past it, perhaps he can enlighten us.
Yeah, as I say, I walk past it every day. They've done a lot of work on it. They've put a complete new roof on it, and I must admit, I don't look at the windows. I'm not a voyeur, so I will have a look when next time I'm passing, though.
It's just, I'm sure. Yeah, I know. Sarah's not here tonight, and she would have complained about the white PVC windows because they're not in keeping with the building. But if the existing plan has white PVC windows in it, we're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, that's what it says, existing white UPVC windows. So
well, it says
you're right,
existing.
Howard. Yeah,
it says existing. Yeah, so
I'm pretty sure at the front they're not PVC. I'm pretty sure they're not white PVC at the front.
Yeah, which is the well, I don't think they are. I noticed the other day when I drove past actually. So yeah.
No comment then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been informed that there's another planning application which we seem
You've
to
missed
have,
one.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair. Do we want to take it at the end of the list of planning?
Yeah.
And we've got the information up. I was informed just before the beginning, and I'll read it out.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll make sure we have a good look.
The next one is 21/0244/FUL. Daniel Bryan, Kirkdale, Skipton Old Road Code, erection of outbuilding. Whereabouts is that? On Skipton Old Road.
Isn't this the one we had last time? Isn't this the swimming pool one?
Well, if Sarah was here, she'd know, wouldn't she?
Yeah, well, that plan didn't really help.
No, is there a site plan? Like a location plan?
Well, I don't know.
No, it's not that one, Howard, because the owner's Mark, what's his name? Mark Turner, I think.
It was, yeah, it was.
I don't know where this is then.
It might be somewhere near that other planning application we had a look at, where the guy turned up a while ago, remember, and sat through the meeting and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
It could be around there, I'm not sure.
Nathan, can you zoom out a little? Yeah. On that previous image that you had, the site location map. If you zoom out.
It looks like it's possibly on the junction with Bent Lane, or Bents, or is that the dodgy track that leads to
Yeah, it is.
the Cunningham household application?
Maybe they're trying to get a bit of payback.
Well, depending on how it looks from an elevation perspective, I hazard to say no comment, myself.
Put the elevations up now for you.
It looks like the architect or the applicants used a trial copy of whatever he's drawn it with, because it clearly says maybe the trial copy of Smart Draw.
Yeah.
Done on.
You mean it's been done on the cheap, Jonathan?
Exactly.
Mm.
Could we actually see what it's going to look like rather than just square boxes?
No, that's the point we're making, Alice. We can't.
Oh, well, I don't think we can make a comment then, can we?
No.
Because
No,
I
you're
think
right,
it needs
yeah,
to come back because we've not got enough information.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't make a decision because we can't see what.
Bear with us one moment. I'll just double check if there's a.
Well, it's not Cunningham because his house is called. Is it Craig? Some more. It was.
Yeah, but
It's not him, and it's not Mark Turner. No.
No.
One moment. Nathan, that is all there is for this. Actually, they've not given us anything else.
It needs to come back to us then.
So council's comment is not enough detail given.
Yeah, to make any decision. Yeah, to make any comment.
Chairman, it is the next one up above Peter Cunningham's going up.
Right.
But we can't ask for it to come back and say there's not enough information. We're only a consultee. We can't demand it comes back. That'll delay planning system too much.
Yeah. All we can say is there is not enough information to comment on it. Yeah.
And and then that's the end of it.
Yeah.
21/019/FUL. This is open space, open door. Yeah, this is this container thing. They're putting in plan application for it.
Chairman,
Yeah.
I visited this location with Jonathan and Sarah. They're doing an outstanding job there for different sorts of people, and they need this container as a form of shelter. When I was there, some children were doing activities within it. So it's a good thing. I'd like to propose that we say okay on it. It's desperately needed. Desperately. Thank you.
But I think we need to have a no comment because this has already been discussed by the council. And so we've already made a decision on it.
Yeah.
And what was it? Have I missed it? What was the decision?
Sorry, Chair, I can, if I may, it went to council and committee because of a change of use for the allotment site, because it's not an individual now, it's the organisation. And it was agreed as long as they got planning consent that the council would not object. So
And have they?
also have a vested interest with it being one of our sites. So it might, no comment could be a good answer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. No comment.
As long as it gets done, I'm happy.
Okay. Now, what's the new planning application name?
Just bear with me. So it is 21/0249 FUL, Bluebell Farm, Skipton Old Road, Cone. Erection of all weather surface for agricultural purpose to be used in conjunction with day centre, including groundworks associated with levelling the site. There isn't a lot of images relating to this because it's a surfacing, but this is what we have for it.
Right. I know Bluebell Farm is where people with learning difficulties go
Yeah.
and work there, and I know it's very well used, and the parents of these children are really happy with it. They think they are looked after.
Chair,
Yes.
it's an excellent facility. I went up there a few years back, and we wanted to engage them in Colne in Bloom, and in fact we took the judges up there that year because they were doing their own growing, and I was so blown away by. It's a very, very special place. Blown away by what they were doing there with young people with physical and learning disabilities, and we can't have enough places like that. We really can't. So yeah, I would support this.
I know they have a long waiting list for people
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, yeah. They've such a fabulous reputation. They have, yeah.
Chairman,
Yes, Neil?
may I echo that? I was there about 18 months ago, and yeah, even with the trials and tribulations and finances, they really put themselves out. Yeah, and there was a few handicapped people there and people with learning disabilities, and it was just amazing what they've done. The effort they put into it is phenomenal. So I'm all for it.
Thank you, Neil. Are we happy to say we support this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's not really a planning reason, but if more people can take advantage of it, that's a good thing. Yeah. Are we happy with that, everyone?
Yeah, I support it 100%.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Item 17, correspondence received. Have we had any correspondence, Naomi?
No, Chair, none received.
Right, members, items for a future month's agenda. Have you any issues that you want to put on to investigate? Yes, Mark?
Yeah, myself and some of the fellow councillors were at a co-working group meeting a little while ago, and the subject of the blues came up. A representative from Cone Bid was there, and they said that they'd either been to a meeting or heard about a meeting where essentially most of the pubs in Cone will be putting on bands or whatever over the bank holiday weekend. And there was a discussion about thousands of people coming into the town, and also the rubbish and who's going to pay for it. So I'm just a little bit concerned. We've cancelled the blues. If thousands of people, not 20,000, but say 10% of them, 2,000 people come into the town, there could be issues with, people on pavements, and also who's going to pay Pendle Borough Council the 10 grand to clean up the town. So I'm just a little concerned as a resident, that we've cancelled it partly because of the reputation of the town council if there was a COVID outbreak. And if it does go ahead, then we're going to get blamed anyway. But my concerns are who's going to pay for the rubbish. And, if there's thousands of people in the town, what about the traffic and the roads?
Thank you, Mark. Any other comments on that?
Can I just say, Chairman?
Oh, sorry. Go on. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. Can I just say that, unfortunately, the places that are open already, I'm going to take the Wetherspoons for one, because people haven't been out on, I think they believe Saturday. It was an unbelievable sight. I wasn't there, but the police had to be called, people fighting and things like that already. This is without the pub's opening fully. This is outside. Also on the cricket club, there was a mass brawl on the cricket club. People bringing in their own beer and things, other things. So I would really pull your pants up, because when this, not the blues, but the weekend of the blues come, it's going to be, I mean, the people's going to come anyway. And the people that live here are going to celebrate it anyway. It's a bank holiday. But it's a disaster that will happen, not if and when, it will happen. And we need to get focused on either policing or stewarding or whatever you want. I mean, the pubs realise that because we missed it this year or last year, whatever it were, that they're coming in droves. They want to be here, and so the people independent want to be out and about. And it's the blues, and no matter what you do, they will come for that. But it's going to be horrendous, is a good word. Thank you.
Carnage.
Well, these it's really items for a future month's agenda, but I'll ask, Dot's got her hand up, and then I'll ask Mary, if she's got any information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what Neil has just said, I was saying the same. I think, you know, we all know, but Neil and I know in particular how these things go, and it will be horrendous. It'll be absolutely dreadful. I didn't know any of what's gone on over the weekend, but what I think we could do is we could maybe have ask for a meeting with the landlords, the managers of the pubs and restaurants and that, and have a sit down with them and find out what they're doing. And if they say, well, we're going to have bands on from Friday night till Sunday, then we can put to them collectively, right, that's fine. Who's going to pay for this and who's going to pay for that? And who, you know, we've cancelled our bit of it. Who's going to pay for it? So I think I would like to see us, or some of us, not all of us, obviously, sitting down and having a serious meeting with these people and find out exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to run it and how they're going to cope with it.
Can I just jump in? Thank you, Dorothy. Can I just jump in really quickly? One of the main problems we had last time is that outside music was allowed outside. I'll name them Riley's and like. So when you walk down there, you couldn't walk through these people. It was just a mass. And it wasn't the blues. It was some rave that was going on. And what people didn't realise that people got hold of me during the day is people, there were no toilet facilities. So there was going around the back streets of these places and doing the business. And I mean all the business, you know, not just everything. They were defecating on the back street. I'll put it that way. So this is not the blues. So when they come in this year, when they come, we have to ensure that there is no outside music. Otherwise, chaos. They'll be in the road. No barriers that'll stop them. So we really got to get our things together. Really have.
That'll be down to licensing, though, won't it? We'll have to look to licensing for that.
Yeah, but if we speak to them beforehand, you know, instead of them making a decision, you know, we could assist them in our knowledge, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I was walking down with two policemen, and this gentleman offered him some white powder on the phone. This is how stupid they are. And, you know, I mean, and he got arrested. But you couldn't get through. A pedestrian could not walk down that place. But that will come. It will come.
And that actually was the worst year ever, I think, for crowds. And that, as you say, it was because of the outside music.
Can I ask Naomi? I know she's been talking to the police, etc.
I'd just like to say, Chair, one, this is the agenda item is things to go on future agendas. The council decided in March they were not holding the Blues, and as such the council have advertised this and will continue to advertise this up until that time. I have actually heard this rumour, and I have been in touch with the police as well as licensing and all the other relevant bodies, and this is not actually a town council issue. It's all because we are not running an event. Several bodies believe that because if you think last year, the pubs were open last year on August bank holiday when we did not do Blues, and they did not have this issue. So they don't see it being an issue again. They think it will be a busy bank holiday, but that's what it will be. It isn't actually the town council's responsibility to support the businesses, although we do in a number of ways. I have also spoken to the BID about it, who are constantly in touch with me for any bits of advice and guidance I can give, because they are possibly looking at running something over that weekend, but they're still in discussions because at the moment no one is able to confirm any events due to COVID. So Borough Council, County Council will not currently give consent for anything because they can't predict it. So I think this, although I understand the council's concern and reputationally protecting the council, this is something which the council have already voted not to do, and we do not have the facility to pay for things that are not an event for us.
Well, we agree with that. We're agreeing with that. But
the police and licensing and Borough Council are all fully aware of this rumour that's going around as well.
Well, this is what I was saying. Why can't we have a meeting with them to find out exactly? Well, it's all right saying it's not our responsibility, and you're quite right, it isn't our responsibility. But in another way, it is. It is our responsibility in one way to look at this and make sure that things don't get out of hand, or to just even find out what's going on. Never mind about a rumour. Let's find out what's going on.
Can I jump in, Dorothy? You're right what you're saying, and through you, Chairman, the CAN meeting.
Yes.
We could, well, I mean, it happens during the day in our work, but some councillors could go to the CAN meeting and then explain our concerns and ask them. It won't involve the setting up of a meeting or anything like that. They'll come to the CAN meeting anyway.
Yeah,
it's just one option.
Well,
that's one option.
Yeah.
Well, I think Alice wants to say something.
Oh yes. If possible, I couldn't quite hear what was going on there with Dorothy and Councillor Butterworth, sorry. But I would love to have a meeting. We are all representatives of this town, and we should really know what's going on. And so whatever has been spoken about, which I couldn't hear, sorry about that, we do need a meeting as councillors, because although perhaps we haven't got that responsibility for the Blues, we've got a responsibility for the town. And I think that's important.
Thank you, Alice.
I will just make
Chair, can I just point out that the agenda says this is not items for debate, it's items for a future agenda. So we're actually
well, let's put it on the agenda then for next meeting.
But as the town clerk has pointed out, none of the powers that would be used to solve these potential problems are powers that are vested in the town council. So
what I'll do then, I'll ask if I can attend a canned meeting, and I'll just find out in general what they propose to do, and if there's anything to report, I'll send you all an email.
Can I say that I think, if individual councillors want to go to various forums and find out what they're planning, that's fine, and you can report back. And I think Naomi also has meetings with the BID every month, so she can sort of report back. And when we have our meetings, I don't think we'll be having an events meeting. When is the one in June?
The June or July, Chair.
Yeah. So I mean, we can bring all those comments back there, and if there's anything that's urgent, we can ask to be put on an agenda, a future agenda. Is that the way forward, fellow councillors?
Yeah, the reason I brought it up was to put it on a future agenda.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So whether it's next month, the month after, or July, but I think it's important that we need to discuss it.
Well, I think that
sometime in the future. Yeah.
I think that's what I said. Not
well, Dorothy, if you propose it, I'll second you.
Right, I'll propose that. What am I?
I'll second you.
Right.
Sorry, Chair. What's
Right.
the actual proposal for the agenda item?
We've no idea.
Well, I think when Mark brought it, Mark has put the question to it.
Yeah.
He wants it on the agenda in the future.
Yeah,
Someone,
yeah.
About the Blues.
as far as I'm concerned, Chairman, someone needs to second Mark.
Sorry, but what is the actual request for the agenda item? Because we've had what the pubs are doing over the August bank holiday.
It's a discussion on the Blues, what the town council policy is, and how we can negate any liability that will definitely be thrown our way.
So, but the
I'll
Blues
second that.
Yeah.
Right, sorted now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you get that, Naomi?
the council have made their decision on the Blues, and that decision cannot be overturned for 6
We
months.
know that. We
Yeah.
know that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking what's the exact detail, because I can't just put the Blues on it, because you cannot rediscuss that item.
I think
what we're
I'm trying to just understand.
Dorothy,
What?
just let me speak. I think what it is, it's to negate as not having the Blues. We're not having the Blues, but because of what happens in the town around the Blues, we want to have an item that how we can negate the problems that we see.
Yes.
But it's so, Chair, through you, Chair. So it's problems which may arise over the August bank holiday weekend. It is
Yes.
nothing to do with the Blues Festival. That's
No.
what.
There isn't.
No.
Is that okay, Mark?
Yeah, fine. Call it whatever you like. Sorry, I should have said the bank holiday weekend instead of the Blues, but yeah, that's fine by me. Yeah.
All those issues that might come up
Yeah.
with
Because they will come and bite us on the bottom.
Yeah, and how our reputation can be protected, etc. Even if it means we have to pay a bit of money out. Is that what you're saying?
Preferably not pay any money out, but make
Not
sure
allowed.
that,
Yeah.
we've got our ducks in line. Yeah.
Okay.
We have got a bank holiday coming up, and it will be in the period where people can't sit in pubs, they're still outside. I think, am I right? You're thinking, Mark. You know, and I think that might be a tale teller in the town. I don't know. After what Neil said that's happened over the weekend.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
That's just a comment on this. I think we need to be careful not to look to be right. Pubs have been shut for a long time. Our town is full of fantastic pubs and bars. We should be looked to be supporting them. I'll be one of the people outside a pub over the bank holiday weekends, the 3 ones that we've got coming up. So, but I'll be using the toilet properly. You know, I won't do what Neil has described, but I think we ought to be a bit more positive about our pubs and bars.
You're right. You're
Appreciate what Mark Chung has said. That's and it will be discussed next month or month after next. But we need to stop being so negative about our pubs and bars. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, it's not being negative, Jonathan. It's if you look at the cricket club now, you can't go there now unless you're a member, which costs £40. Now they haven't done that off a whim. They've done that because people abuse the situation, and we all know they do.
Right.
You know, hang about in 6. There's 40 of them. If you look on the news, you know, don't mix, and there's 500 people in the park. So if you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. And when it's happening, it's too late. So I'm not saying ban people. I'm not saying whatever. But what I am saying is we need to be looking at the potential of problems. That's all. forewarned is forearmed. That's all I'm
Well-
saying. Thank you.
Well, Neil, you make your inquiries. Dorothy, you go to canned meetings or whatever, but you know, it's not going to be our responsibility, but we know we'll be blamed if things happen. So we need to have some answers to that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Date of next meeting and time.
Chair, I'm sorry, I've got a request to put on next month's agenda.
Go on then, Jonathan.
It has been, it's quite apparent that there's not a lot in the town at the moment for the elderly residents to do. After speaking to a few of them, particularly those who live at Peter Birksall Close, one or two of them have said to me that activities that they used to do and used to go to have ceased. Fair enough, COVID is an exceptional circumstance and there's not around what you can do during the last 12 months. But they were seen to be thinking that it didn't really have much to do with COVID. The activities stopped before COVID seemed to kick in. And they were saying that it was affecting them at the Peter Birksall Close and behind the Trust building. But also they were saying throughout the time there doesn't seem to be a lot for older people to do. And I'm wondering whether we can get this on the agenda for next time or either May or June agenda to discuss what we can look to do about it.
Jonathan, may I jump in? Jonathan?
Chair, can I just say, that's fine. That's an item to go on a future agenda. That's the end of the discussion on it. We can't keep piling
No,
things
so
on and on.
I mean, I don't know. Are you saying I can't say anything? That would say.
Yeah, it's
my right
items to go on a future agenda. The items to go on a future agenda are facilities for old folk. End of discussion.
Says you.
Well, I hope, says the chair, as advised by the town clerk.
Well,
yeah. So can I go back to what I was going to say? Thank you very much. Yeah, Jonathan, ring me after this episode. Just give me a ring. It'll be a lot easier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right.
Wonder if Chairman,
can I just make one comment?
Yes.
I hope you all realise that this is going out live and live streamed, and I hope you all realise it sounds like a bear garden when you listen to it on YouTube. And I hope you all realise that, because between you, you've all made a total fool of everyone. And I've nothing
excuse me, but I haven't even spoken, so why are you accusing everybody?
Well, it doesn't mean everybody.
I think we should end the meeting.
Yes, let's close the meeting now. The next.
I would just like to say that if people had been watching on YouTube in the last meeting, David Clegg, you were shouting so loud I couldn't wear my headphones. So watch out before you start accusing people.
No one has accused you of anything, Councillor Hurley. I just said all this arguing about items that are for discussion in the future is not going to look good on the YouTube video going out. And I'm right.
Right, the next council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, the 18th of May at 7 p.m. So we'll close the meeting now. Thank you.